Good morning, this is Miss Schaefer, and I wanted to go through lesson 2 and 3 of chapter 1 as we are working in a couple lessons. Some of this information should be reviewed to you, some of it will be new. Please remember that you'll want to pause, go through the lesson material that's in your course to make sure you have this information, just because I am going through it pretty quickly. We will be looking at examples of matter and then starting to classify them along with looking at the physical and chemical properties. You can see right here we're doing review sheet questions 2 through 6. Make sure to use the review sheet that is in the course material for you, or that I emailed out to you this time. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that we're going to be covering because it is 2 lessons put together. Like I said, some of this you'll know, but you can use this sheet or this part of the chart as a checklist for you. You want to start at the lower steps right here. Make sure you can define matter before you list examples to it. And as you go, each one of these tasks is a little bit more complicated. And at the end of this lesson or during this lesson, near the end, you should be able to look at a situation and decide, is this a chemical property or a physical property? Um, so, like I said, anytime you're stuck, go back to the sheet, figure out, start checking off, seeing what it is that you know, and then circle what you don't know. And then look for that material in the course lesson material so that you can figure it out and then move on. So you can fill in any gaps that you have. In the lesson material, these links are live. There's instructions for how to fill out the review sheet, and then here is linked in the review sheet. You can also find it in the course under the lesson 1.07 review sheet, and that's actually where you submit it at the end of this chapter. All right, so we've talked about what matter is. And there are some help videos for you. In science, we take a lot of things and categorize them to make them easier for us to understand. And so in doing that, we will look at different ways we can organize things. And one of those is by its physical and its chemical properties. We list things out as solid, liquids, and gases. That's one way to organize it. But there's a couple other. So we have this idea that we go through questions. So this is a way to analyze. You can use it visually, like in the chart right here, or you can go through and ask questions. These are good questions for you. You might want to keep them, snip them, have them for your notes. Okay, so if you have matter, is it a pure substance? We're going to talk about what pure substance is. If not, then it's called a mixture. And then as you can see, there are different types of pure substance and different types of mixtures, and that's part of what we're learning. So we have atoms, which are building blocks of matter. We're going to talk about atoms a lot. Notice too, this connects to question number 2. So you can pause, snip, use your own words. Just use the course material or the lesson material or even the textbook over Google, because this is going to get you where you need to go for the test, and it will be in a language that will help you understand. So we're going to talk about the difference between this and this. Notice, what do you think? Pause. How are these two different? This is two of the same kind. Has N, same shape, same color. This molecule right here, they're not all the same kind. So this is an element, this is a molecule. In elements, each element has its own different type of atom. They are chemical substances that cannot be broken down any further. This is as low as it can go, as to the element level. we'll be looking at some of these. So we have an element definition, chemical substance that can't be broken down into another substance. And you can see some examples up here on the board. You can also see molecules. Molecules mean that there's two or more atoms that are held together through a bond. So the electrons are shared. We'll learn more about how that works a little bit later in this semester. But the main part is the ideas is element are atoms of the same kind. Molecules, not necessarily. You can sometimes find some of the same kind, but they're connected to each other using other elements. So whether something is a pure substance or not depends on that definition. Like I said, you might want to go through, you can pause some of this thing. What a pure substance is it can't be separated physically. And then here's some examples for you to practice. Is it a pure substance? And then is it an element or a compound? So that information is there to help you go through that. We have this idea of molecules and what molecules are, how atoms are formed, some practice questions, and then this idea of what a mixture is. So we've talked about elements, compounds, now we're adding in mixtures. We use mixtures in food all of the time. So mixtures are something that are physically combined or blended together. We usually can pick them apart. Sometimes it's not so easy, but we can. We have two types of mixtures: homogeneous, same composition, and heterogeneous. Samples are different. So for example, in this, the salad is heterogeneous. It's not all the same type. So here's some examples you can use to help you with mixtures. Some more information on a homogeneous mixture over a heterogeneous mixture. Like I said, pause anytime you need, go through the lesson material. There's some help videos here you might want to take notes on to help you out. Some diagrams and charts. You can, if you got this, then you can move on. If you need more help, then you can go through and study it. So here is our chart visibly displayed with some examples down below. Another thing that we look at when we're trying to define different properties is this idea with chemical and physical properties. You definitely want to check out these videos. They're fun videos. All right, so in this idea, I'm going to share with you some things. So I have a cup of ice water. I have matches. I have a paper clip. So let's look at how matter can have physical or chemical properties involved in it. So you'll see a video on your lesson material that will help you work through that. And we'll also be in the semester talking about phase changes. We'll be using this in our second lab report, and we'll be talking about it more, but phase change is an example of some physical changes. So for example, when I have this water, what's eventually going to happen to these ice cubes? It's already starting to happen. If you can see there, it's already starting to happen. Those ice cubes were bigger when I started. Well, that's the idea of a physical change, is there's a temperature change occurring and the ice is melting. This is just another example of a phase change diagram. It's more applicable to chemistry. You will see it more in the SAT, PSAT testing. We'll also talk about, you can click on this video to learn about the property plasma. Plasma is not one that I can bring in the classroom, so you want to check this out. And then there's also some practice questions here. So definitely check out these practice questions to help you. Now to help you get through some other things here, I want to show an example of something. Let me bring this up a little bit bigger. All right, so I have my water. What will happen to that? Okay, And then we're talking about physical and chemical changes and whether the chemical properties change or not. What do you think? As I am moving this paperclip around, are the are the molecules rearranging themselves? Is this a new substance? So, with a difference between a physical and a chemical change, is that in a chemical change, the molecules are, the bonds are rearranging themselves. So, in the water, are the bonds rearranging themselves? Do we form a new substance? And then, what if here I have a match. If I go to light the match, do I create a new substance? Uh-oh, my match isn't gonna light. There it goes. Is this a physical change or a chemical change? And then to add to it, if I light a candle, is that a physical change or a chemical change or both? So this example, this match can't be used again. I used the chemicals on it. There was a chemical reaction when it hit the striker plate that caused the molecules to rearrange, creating fire. Now, when I use my candle, what I've done is the wax will melt. It's only changing phases. It's going from a solid to a liquid. It's not until it burns by the flame that there's a chemical change. So hopefully that will help you as we are going through and talking about matter and the difference between physical and chemical change. Join us in the Class Connects. We'll practice some of this material. I wanted to get it out to you to help you as you prepare. Please go through the lesson material carefully. There's a lot of information I didn't cover. There's practice information and there's extension information. It's there for you to help you learn this material. If you have any questions, please ask. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.